All right, there we go. Okay, I posted this on my Instagram. Oh, back not too long ago, talking about three former presidents that came in 2021 to help Americans. In Ronald Reagan's statement, government doesn't solve problems, they created. And so when they come to help me, I think he also said the scariest phrase you can ever hear is, "I'm from the government, I'm here to help." Now, having said that, my the people that I know who work for the government, they are rock solid. Some of the best people that I know on the planet work for the federal government of the United States of America. But as a whole, as an entity, I don't think you're going to get any argument from people when you tell people, well, we're 30, 35, 36, maybe even 37 now trillion in debt. We spent 20 years in Afghanistan and didn't achieve anything based other than destroy that nation's culture, economy, social. Everything we did was bad there, right? 20 years, unbelievable. The federal government destroyed Iraq and unalived millions of people, including the 500,000 children 1 to 5, mostly due to starvation, from what I understand, and because the infrastructure was completely blown out. We did bad things to Libya, mostly the biggest thing. I mean, I don't know as much about Libya as I do Iraq, but we destroyed, NATO, U.S. joint forces destroyed the eighth wonder of the world, which was Gaddafi's aqueduct system. Prior to the U.S. going into Libya to spread freedom and democracy, Libya had the highest human development index in Africa. Lots of freebies. I think free healthcare, $50,000 to couples when they got married, free and or low cost housing. My understanding, free education. Lots of free things that Gaddafi gave back to the American people. You got to ask yourself, was he a bad guy, or did the U.S. just have business interest? Remember, Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein both wanted to sell their oil for gold prior to the U.S. going in there and bringing them that freedom and democracy. So anyway, let's watch this little mini movie that I made here, and then we can talk about it. Here we go. In 2020, three former presidents came together to help Americans.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans. And soon, they will be available to everyone.
The science is clear. These vaccines will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
They could save your life.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
That's the
Oh, come on.
first step to ending the pandemic and moving our country forward. It's up to you.
This wasn't surprising. After all, these three men have been helping people in other countries for decades. Bill Clinton helped Haiti.
President Clinton, the UN Special Envoy to Haiti, shortly after assuming the position, publicly apologized for forcing Haiti to drop tariffs on imported subsidized U.S. rice during his time in office. The policy wiped out Haitian rice farming, seriously damaged Haiti's ability to be self-sufficient. Clinton apologized in March 2010 at a hearing before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee.
Since 1981, the United States has followed a policy until the last year or so we started rethinking it, that we rich countries that produce a lot of food should sell it to poor countries and relieve them of the burden of producing their own food. So thank goodness they can lead directly into the industrial era. It has not worked. It's maybe been good for some of my farmers in Arkansas, but it has not worked. It was a mistake. It was a mistake that I was a party to. I am not pointing the finger at anybody. I did that. I have to live every day with the consequences of the lost capacity to produce a rice crop in Haiti to feed those people because of what I did. Nobody else.
Barack Obama helped Libya.
Yeah, Gaddafi was interesting because I didn't follow any politics for years because I was laser focused on fighting. And a couple of years ago, I went down that rabbit hole. I started reading about him. He seemed like
a
pretty good. Yeah, he had all these free subsidies, helped his people out.
Everybody had health care. Everybody had free education, including college. Everybody had housing. He created what they called the eighth wonder of the world, returned deserts into farmland he did this water system, which we, by the way, then bombed with nuclear depleted uranium tip bombs. So now it's all poison. I mean, we are the world's terrorists.
And George Bush helped Iraq.
Now,
Next thing you know, we do the first war against Iraq. About 185,000 Iraqis die. And then we impose the most brutal sanctions in human history on Iraq. We cut off their food and we cut off their medicine for 12 years. 100,000 Iraqis die per year. By the end of the Clinton administration, the first 8 years of these brutal sanctions, 800,000 people were dead. The UN estimated that of the 800,000 Iraqis that had starved to death or died because of lack of medicine, 500,000, 500,000, were age 5 and under. We murdered 500,000 babies in that 8-year span of time. Over the next 4 years, we kill another 100,000 a year until there's Iraq War II in 2003. And at that point, from that point on, from 2003 until we withdraw, we killed another 1.3 to 2 million Iraqis. In other words, over the course of the last 20, or the course of that 21 years, basically from 1991 to 2011, we killed about 3 million Iraqis.
God bless these men for being so helpful to humanity. Where would we be without them? Wild, wild. The reason I made that compilation is because I just want people to entertain the idea of, is my government helping me or are they hurting me? Is my government pro-humanity or not pro-humanity? Because if they'll do it to them, they'll do it to you. How we treat one person is how we treat all people. See, we all know on an individual level in our lives, if we see someone treating another person poorly, it registers our mindset and we go, if they treat them poorly, there's a probability they'll treat me poorly. Right? We know at an interpersonal relationship basis, what's the number one thing? One of the number one things that people look for when they go out on a date. How is the person that I'm on a date with treating the wait staff? Right? Are they kind? Are they patient? Are they caring? Are they loving to them? Are they open and receptive to them? Or do they treat the wait staff like, personal indentured servants? Or rude, belligerent, etc. Because there's a high probability they're going to treat you that way too, right? Again, how a person does one thing is how they do everything. How a person treats one person is how they treat all people. And that's what I wanted to just have people entertain their mind. Is your government really in working for your best interest? Now, let's also talk about that. So it also illustrates poor decision-making on their behalf. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate you. It illustrates poor decision-making on their behalf. And that is, let's start with Barack Obama. He said going into Libya was the biggest mistake of his, doing what he did in Libya, the way he did it, how he did it, whatever, was the biggest mistake of his presidency. Bill Clinton, as you heard, said going into Haiti and doing that in Haiti, undermining the Haitian rice industry was his failure, was a failure. It's poor decision maker. And George Bush is widely known now. There were no weapons of mass destruction. And so but there are now those, 2 to 3 million unalived Iraqis plus 500,000 Iraqi children due to the sanctions that we imposed on Iraq. Now, my understanding is we've also imposed heavy sanctions on Iran for a long time, and they've been trying to get out from under those. But you never hear about that in the media. You never hear about the pressure the United States government puts on these foreign countries, immense pressure in some cases, and pain they inflict upon their people in order to cause pain and or provoke them into doing something warlike, or maybe they hate people, whatever. Again, going back to the analogy, if you're on a date, if your date is putting pain and suffering on the waitstaff and the people that are serving her or him, is that a good person? No, it's not. So all three of those presidents have verified decision-making, problematic in decision-making. They're mistakes. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't follow leaders who have made massive mistakes in the past. And also, when you dig deeper, I now know, everyone has to come to this own conclusion, those were not mistakes at all. Haiti wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake what Bill Clinton did in Haiti. It made Bill Clinton and his colleagues enormous amounts of money. You can do your own research on it. I've already done it. It made them very wealthy. And or, mostly wealth coming out of Haiti. Exploiting the poor people and fooling the rest of the world and or Americans for money has been it's an age-old thing. Now Libya and Iraq were different stories. Yes, there's money to be made there, but I also think there's a more sinister situation going on there, which involves strategy in the Middle East, exploitation of resources, positioning and putting in puppet governments that are favorable to the United States. Again, the United States and the CIA is for decades, ever since the beginning. The CIA has worked to undermine democracy in other nations, to put puppet governments or pressure on governments to make those governments do things that the United States wants so they can bring those countries under the control of the United States. It's sick. It's twisted. It's beyond sick. It's demented is what it is. And what that does, so all the credibility of those three presidents is out the window. And anyone who knows about those blunders would never, ever, ever take medical advice from those presidents because they've clearly demonstrated they're poor decision makers. They're very poor decision makers. And so when you go back and look at those, in days of old, when you had a tribe of people, if the leader repeatedly got the tribe into big problems and caused harm to come to the tribe wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't stand for it because you can't have a leader or a chief or a wise elder that doesn't make good decisions for the tribe. And those guys didn't make good decisions for Americans because that hurts Americans' reputation moving forward, right? It hurts Americans' reputation politically, socially. We're social animals. We're connected with our friends and neighbors around the globe. And now the globe looks unfavorably on Americans because we've allowed this to continue. And when the biggest culprit is me. I was ignorant to how bad and corrupt our government is. And was and is. And that's why I shared that. You can watch that on my Instagram. I'll be also uploading it to my YouTube channel at G. Mark Phillips. I call it, 2021, 3 ex-presidents came together and suggested that Americans take vaccination from pharmaceutical companies. Let's talk about that angle too. So not only did those 3 ex-presidents all have a history of making bad decisions, Clinton in Haiti destroyed the rice market down there and ultimately undermined the entirety of the Haitian economy. And who knows how long it would take to rebuild that. But also that Barack Obama destabilized and created a hell on earth experience in Libya, right? And destroyed that 8th wonder of the world, the aqueduct system. But then George Bush undermined and destabilized and created a hell on earth experience in Iraq. Decades long. I mean, that happened back in 03-ish. It's still destabilized down there. And then all of the Iraqis that were unalived, 2 to 3 million, including the babies. But not only that, but those 3 ex-presidents did not tell the American people all of the information. They didn't say, hey, the pharmaceutical industry are the most corrupt, objectively the most corrupt corporations on the planet based on fines levied from the Department of Justice. Anyone can look that up. Opioids, Vioxx, tainted blood in the 80s from Bayer. It's no secret that the pharmaceutical industry is objectively the worst corporations on planet Earth. If you are a trusted advisor, a president who truly cares about Americans, you want to tell them that because you want Americans to make their own decision. You don't want to artificially mislead them into doing something that may harm them. You want to give them all of the information and say, hey, we're in a very crazy time. There's this solution from these companies that have a long history of deceiving people. That's what they get in trouble for. Misleading and fraudulent information, misleading and fraudulent activities around their products. That could be giving kickbacks. That could be saying things that aren't true. It's also historically been manipulating or falsifying or omitting the data That's important information for consumers to know. That's what's remember how the what was it? The protection kept falling. Like it started at 99 point something, then it fell down to like, okay, now it's 96 for the COVID solution, if you could call it that. Then it was like 80 something, and it kept falling, right? That's some sketchy thing. As soon as things started going down like that, a lot of Americans are like, holy shit, this thing is evolving in ways that they didn't tell people about. And for those presidents to come on the scene and unequivocally, tested and approved, safe and effective, put that stamp on it's reckless at best, and it is fraudulent at worst, to be quite honest. Again, I just share it with people because I want them to have all the information and know these people. You will know them by their fruits. Are they a good leader, or are they a bad leader? Anyway, there it is. You can watch it more on my social media at GMarkPhillips. But I appreciate you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Have an awesome day.